Hello, everyone, and welcome to July 19th, 2023. It's This Week in Comics. Hi, everyone. It's Dustin Dry with the Two Birds Stoned at Two Birds Stoned 815. It's July 19th, 2023. We got a bunch of number ones to get to, a bunch of ongoing series to get to, as well as a couple that we're not going to get to. Let's go. Alrighty, first up, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Street Fighter number 2. I'm actually missing the first issue of this, and it has been ordered, so I will review this starting with issue 3, but I'm not going to jump ahead. Check it out yourself. Alrighty, we have Star Wars Doc Aphra number 34 with an awesome vintage cover. However, I am missing some issues in this series, and considering it's number 34, I should have all those issues soon, and we will be caught up by issue 40. By issue 40, I'll review the whole series. Those are the only two issues that I'm not quite caught up on, so we'll skip past those and right into the number 1. Hawk Girl number 1 by Jadzia Axelrod, Aminke Nahulapan, and Adriana Lucas. Sorry if I butchered any of those names. In this series, Hawkgirl is on her own for the first time. Now, the issue does include a battle with the Justice League, or at the very least, she's fighting alongside the Justice League as a member. But this is the first time that Hawkgirl's on her own solo series, no team, no nothing. She's even in a new city because she moved to Metropolis. It's here that we learn that she is definitely searching for meaning in her life now. In the story, she meets an old college friend, she meets a new potential ally named Galaxy, and even encounters a new enemy. This issue has great adventure, it's a great entry point for a new story with a lesser known character. Hawkgirl number 1, 8 out of 10. Big Game number 1 by Mark Millar, Pepe Larraz, and Giovanna Nero. The Big Game number 1 combines all Millar properties into a world where superheroes have been defeated and the villains have won. But there are those that remember the time of heroes and they are ready to fight back. If you enjoy any of the Millar properties, there's bound to be an entry point for this huge series for you in here. I give the issue a 7 out of 10, and I would just say the Dave Lazuski / the Kick-Ass entry point, with Dave wanting to be the American hero, is definitely what got me into it. The Big Game number 1 is a 7 out of 10. Scrapper number 1 by Alex DeCampi, Sandy Jarrell, and Cliff Blazinski. Scrapper is a good dog who patrols the city at night and protects them from Smite, the ever-looming presence of evil, and also the security system of the city. However, when an attack by one of the Smite robots kills his adopted family, Scrapper fights back and learns he might be closer to Smite than he ever even realized. This series has really cool art, but kind of a basic story. I would give Scrapper number 1 a 6.5 out of 10. Tales of the Titans number 1 by Shannon and Dean Hale, Javier Rodriguez, and Hassan Atzman Elhau. Now, the Tales of the Titans stories seem to be standalone individual tales centering on different members of the team. Starfire goes off planet and kind of learns what it means to be a princess for different people, during which the Titans are battling Queen Bee and actually end up needing Starfire in order to win. This is an introspective issue, and it does have really quality art and a decent enough story. Tales of the Titans number 1 is a 7 out of 10. That's it for the number 1s. Let's move on to our ongoing issues. Alrighty, we have Extreme Venomverse number 5. The first story in Extreme Venomverse number 5 is Jeff the Landshark, our cover boy, in The Rhythm of the Night by Kelly Thompson and Guri Hiru. Now, if you know anything about Jeff the Landshark, you know his stories are really simple. This story involves my favorite Kate Bishop Hawkeye. It's super silly. It's meant for little kids. Jeff the Landshark gets a cute and fun 7.5 out of 10. Our second story is Major League Venom in Field of Screams by Jordan Bloom, Scott Hanna, Brian Crosby, and Chris Solomare. This is one of the shortest stories of the Venomverse, but it includes such a cool version of Venom and has to do with baseball and juicing. I actually absolutely love this story, even though it was like 4 pages long. Major League Venom is an 8.5 out of 10. Our next story is King Pain in Spider's Eclipse by Jason Liu, Gavin Goudry, and KJ Diaz. In this version of Venom, Wilson Fisk becomes Venom. He's King Pain. He's battling the Fantastic Four's Peter Parker and is about to kill him when Carnage shows up and absolutely eviscerates him starting the end of the Venomverse. Wilson Fisk as Kingpin, such a cool story. It's absolutely brutal, and I wish he would have killed Peter. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. And last but not least, in Extreme Venomverse number 5, Mobile Walker Venom in Full Symbiote Panic by Cody Ziegler, Jim Toe, and Dee Conant. In this issue, Flash and his crew battle giant kaiju-style Venoms, while Flash is still the lethal protector using a Pacific Rim-style robot to fight the symbiotes. And while his giant robot ends up being killed and ending, at the end, Gwen and her robot and Miguel and his robot show up to pick him up. Another absolutely fun issue of Extreme Venomverse. This is the best issue they've done so far. Definitely pick this issue up. Mobile Walker Venom is an 8 out of 10. Alrighty, next up we have The Last Ronin, The Lost Days Special number 1. Now, The Last Ronin, The Lost Years has kind of been telling its own story with a new version of the Turtles being led by Casey Marie, who is April and Casey Jones's daughter. This is actually an interesting interlude where Grandma April O'Neil takes the new Turtles out into New York City after the fall of Hiroto and after the death of Michelangelo. We actually step in on a few old factions, including the Purple Dragons, as the new Turtles kind of display their personalities and learn what the new world is around them. I'm actually hoping that The Lost Years spawns into its own comic book with a new set of Turtles. I think it would be cool to see a dystopian future with Casey and April's daughter leading a new, more probably inclusive fearsome foursome that are skilled in the arts of ninjutsu. The Last Ronin, The Lost Years, The Lost Days Special number 1, 7 out of 10. Void Rivals number 2. Void Rivals continues its strong start with the first half of the issue being mostly very necessary exposition on what's going on between the two factions, followed by an entertaining second half filled with adventure and an appropriate cliffhanger. Void Rivals is another 8.5 out of 10. Guardians of the Galaxy number 4. This is a Rocket-centric issue that definitely touches on his longing and the missing of his best friend Groot. This series has such great art and it includes a final page cliffhanger that really does propel us to our next issue. Guardians of the Galaxy 4 is an 8 out of 10. The Vigil number 3. This strong series continues where Saya actually spies on Naya by becoming her, while Naya actually advocates for some oversight by Mr. Lightless. I'm supremely intrigued by this series. It's another 7.5 out of 10. Dead Romans number 5. In Dead Romans number 5, Honoria and Regulus finally make their way back to the Legion and are given their final tasks, all while Arminius prepares to destroy the Romans. I love Roman stories. I love them told well. I love the author Simon Scarro. This is a good Roman story with its own art style. Dead Romans number 5 is a 7.5 out of 10. Deadpool Batter Blood number 2. This is a trippy second issue for Deadpool Batter Blood, where even I'm a little confused on how all of that is going on. However, the story does spin its wheels a little bit, especially compared to issue 1. Deadpool Batter Blood number 2 is a 7 out of 10. Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones by Emily Kim, Kai Zama with Jeffo, Oren Jr. and Bellardino Bravo with Jeffo, and Triona Farrell. This is the last issue of the week, but definitely not least, because Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones is over. In this series, Ghost Spider actually battles the Sinister Six of Earth 616 at the start of the series. She actually manages to defeat them, but a rogue vulture bomb goes off and kills citizen scientist Lee Bennett. Months later, clones of the Sinister Six and Gwen Stacy start showing up and attacking Ghost Spider. Gwen does her best to try to convince the clones to work with her, but Dr. Lila Bennett has created a machine in which she intends to wipe all Gwen Stacy's from the existence of the multiverse. Ghost Spider manages to get Sandgwen and Gwenok on her side, and Sandgwen and Gwenok actually team up to save Ghost Spider from the clutches of Dr. Lila Bennett. Ends up sacrificing herself in order to save Ghost Spider. And in the end, while all the Gwens are successful, Dr. Lila Bennett does end up getting away. Gwenok dies, and all of the Spider clones, or the Gwen clones, end up going their own separate ways. I absolutely really enjoyed this series by the end of it. It starts off super cliched, but cliches can work if you nail the character arcs and the characters' actions within the story. And this creative team absolutely nailed those characters and their actions. I love Spider-Gwen, aka Ghost Spider, and while I wasn't a fan at the start of this series ended up being a very worthy Spider-Gwen series. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Go find all the issues. There's some cool variants, including a bunch of clone versions of Gwen on the covers. So go check it out. 8 out of 10, or grab the Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones trade paperback when it comes out this fall. That's it for the comic reviews this week. I did want to touch in with My Adventures with Superman episode 3. I don't know why, but I love this series, even though I don't even love Superman. This episode, Clark learns to use his heat vision. Lois gets her interview with Superman, although she doesn't believe a word he says. Jimmy is hilarious as a conspiracy theorist. Lois is hilarious as a pickpocket/thief. I enjoy this series so much. Episode 3 is no exception. My Adventures of Superman, another 8 out of 10. That is it for July 19th, 2023. Let's check in with next week. We have Batman, the Brave and the Bold, number 3. We have Night Terrors, number 2. We're going to check in with the Night Terror tie-ins with Night Terrors Harley Quinn, number 1, and Night Terrors Titans, number 1. DC Black Label, Superman, The Last Days of Lex, number 1. 007 for King and Country, number 4. World Tree, number 4. Avengers, number 3. Deadpool, number 9, although I'm still missing an issue, so I don't know if I'll have it before I review. Hallows Eve, number 5, that's the end of the miniseries. Hellcat, number 5, that's the end of the miniseries. Incredible Hulk, number 2. Silk, number 3, the midway point. Spider-Man India, number 2. Ultimate Invasion, number 2. Let's see if it ever justifies its price point. What If Dark, Spider-Gwen, number 1. I haven't decided yet, but I might check in on the Hellfire Gala number. Alrighty guys, that's it for June 19th, 2023. I am Dustin Dry with the Two Birds Stoned at 2BirdsStoned815. Check us out on TikTok. Check us out on YouTube. Got a couple of sketches coming your way. I post all my reviews under the user reviews on Comic Book Roundup. Every Tuesday, you can find me at Mega City 2 in Bakersfield. Check us out. Consume us wherever you can. We had a ton of books this week. We've got a ton coming next week. Dustin Dry at 2BirdsStoned815. Your bumbling guide to all things comics. This is the point where we fade to black and hit the music.